Welcome to day 158. We're reading the whole Bible this year, and today we read Proverbs 13 to 15, so let's get to it. Now, in these Proverbs today, we don't have a particular theme. Again, the Proverbs are one of the few places where there are large chunks like this that we can just take any one verse, and it tends to kind of stand on its own. The biggest theme we can kind of pull is that there is almost always a dichotomy presented. There is the honest and the dishonest, the fool and the wise, the righteous and the sinner, or the wicked or the unrighteous. There's the lazy and the hardworking. There's always a good and evil in just about every one of these, and it's presented in a whole lot of different ways. There's some very familiar, very famous scriptures throughout these passages today. But as we read through them, I think if you have the time, maybe even if you're just going to try and power through and get it read, take the time to at least pray ahead of time and just say, Lord, show me what you need me to latch onto today. Have something stand out to me so that it'll stick in my head. But if you can, take a minute and just read one and take a deep breath or three, and think about it, contemplate the truth and the wisdom within, and then get to the next one. That might take you a while. You might want to stretch that out in a few sessions throughout the day or something. But I think allowing each of these verses, each of these proverbs to stand on their own and be what they are, something that points us in the direction of understanding what in general does wise living look like? And in contrast, on that same topic for each verse, what is foolishness? What is wickedness? What does selfish ambition look like? It brings us to this other place that is not good, that will tear us down, that will ruin us ultimately. If we follow the ways of the wise and pursue that direction, that's going to be good for us, a positive benefit for us. If we don't, it's going to wreck us. Let's talk about the very delicate subject of proper correction according to Proverbs 13, verse 24. The one who will not use the rod hates his son, but the one who loves him disciplines him diligently. Now, the context there is discipline, that there is wisdom, there is goodness, righteousness in proper discipline, properly applied. That's not an outright just beat the kid or else you hate them. That's not what this is saying. Some have tried to justify that type of behavior. That's not what this is. This is more helping establish to a child that there are consequences to wrong or foolish actions. And applied properly, discipline in its proper context with restraint, not done out of anger, not done out of any desire to harm someone, but to help provide correction and boundaries, that can lead to understanding, that can lead to wisdom, that can lead to proper learning and a recognition of painful results from foolish or wicked actions. That's something to be prayed over, to be discussed, and definitely to be done with absolute restraint and caution, and probably not an actual rod. It doesn't mean, it's not advocating for beating somebody with a stick or anything like that. It's meaning a thinner, like a switch kind of a thing, for those who may have grown up with that type of discipline. But again, the idea is more in the vein of discipline being properly applied than it is specifically trying to permit some sort of physical abuse or penalty. With that said, then what a modern application or understanding of this might look like, rather than trying to use the proper form of physical punishment, would be having actual real consequences for wrong action versus a freewheeling, no penalty, do what you want kind of a life. There are some who advocate for that type of parenting, and it spoils the children to the point of like spoiling their character, not understanding that there are consequences for their actions. That's something that is a reality of this world. There are consequences to foolish and wicked actions. Sometimes those consequences, as we even see in the Proverbs, sometimes those consequences don't come until the end of our life. We may not see them directly, but oftentimes there are direct penalties to foolish and wicked actions. And we need to learn that early. We need to learn that and be trained in that so that we understand how to walk rightly and the importance of it and the dangers of choosing wickedness. Pray on that. Use wisdom, use caution, restraint, and seek kindness in whatever forms of discipline that if you are a parent, that you might give to your children. Never, ever try to use something like this verse to justify harming your child or any sort of physical abuse. That is definitely off the table, but it's one of those kind of little trigger verses that has been used and abused for all sorts of craziness over the years. And as we read by it, I think it's one worth talking out a little more. If there's more comments, questions, concerns about any of that, let's talk about it. Put it in the comments and let's get into a discussion about how to properly apply the wisdom and truth laid out for us here in these Proverbs, whether it's the one we've talked about or any of these others. Thanks for watching with us. Be rad for Jesus.